Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Donald Trump's top economic advisor now says the administration's tariff refund plan is a mess. Kevin Hassett appeared on CBS News and addressed Trump efforts to send every American a $2,000 check. That effort would become especially challenging if the U.S. Supreme Court rules the tariffs are unconstitutional and that the Trump administration has to refund tariff revenue to businesses and producers.
The people who pay the tariff, if there is a refund, the people who actually paid for the good, the importer in most cases, they're the ones who'd be the first line of defense for refunding the tariff. But I really, really don't think that's going to happen. It'd be very complicated. And then that person would be responsible for allocating the tariff refund to the appropriate folks.
That sounds like a mess.
Yes, it is a mess. And that's why I think the Supreme Court wouldn't do it.
The Supreme Court would not do it, says Hassett, except the Supreme Court doesn't make rulings based on whether the outcome would be difficult for an administration. The question before the court is whether the Trump tariffs are constitutional. Donald Trump imposed tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. During a lengthy argument at the court in November, most of the justices seemed skeptical that Trump has tariff authority under the act. And if the court rules against the Trump administration, the government might have to reimburse the tariff money it has collected, or around $250 billion. The court could conceivably rule against the administration and say the tariffs must be stopped going forward, thereby saving the administration from a complicated reimbursement process. Still, any adverse ruling would kill Donald Trump's already complicated plan to have the Treasury send every American $2,000 checks. However, the Trump administration continues to embrace the idea of tariff dividend checks, even if officials cannot explain to reporters how this would work or when.
Trump has talked about sending out $2,000 checks to U.S. citizens. Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. Citizens expect the $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is committed to making that happen, yes, and we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen, and so his team of economic advisors are looking into it, and when we have an update, we'll provide one.
Translation: we will have to wait on the U.S. Supreme Court. And even then, with a ruling in Trump's favor, the issuance of tariff dividend checks may still not be possible. And that should not be a surprise because Donald Trump says a lot of things that are not possible. On the issue of personal finances, for example, consider Donald Trump's latest statements about cutting the cost of prescription drugs.
We're bringing down drug prices like at a level that has never even been thought of, by thousands. Think of it, by 1,000%, by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400% in some cases.
1,400%? Okay, let me try to make this simple so that even Donald Trump can understand. If the cost of anything is reduced by 100%, that product is free. That is basic math. So if a pill that normally costs, say, $10 is reduced by 100%, the cost is zero. A $10 pill that is reduced by 1,000% means the pharmacy will pay the customer $90 to take the pill. A 1,400% reduction on a $10 drug means the pharmacy would pay the consumer $130 to take the product. Is Donald Trump saying that drug companies and pharmacies are now going to be paying us to take the prescription drugs? No. But this is what happens when we have a president who either doesn't know basic math or whose brain has turned to mush. Now, back to the Trump tariff dividend checks that he keeps promising. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that money could take different forms, like tax breaks. But Trump keeps undercutting Bessent and insisting that he, Trump, wants the issuance of checks for $2,000 to every American making less than $100,000 a year. That's about 150 million American adults.
Those earning less than $100,000 a year would be 150 million adults. If you times that by the 2,000 checks, you get $300 billion, which is more than the government has taken in these tariffs. So, again, we don't know what form this will take. If it's going to happen at all, it would need congressional approval. And it's also not the first time the president has promised these checks. Remember when Elon Musk headed up the Doge department within the government and was cutting federal workers workers. He said, oh, all of the money we're saving from there can be given back to Americans. And we see that never happen. So in short, don't run out and spend $2,000 on your credit card thinking you're getting it from the government, because we don't know yet.
But we do know that Donald Trump likes to say things that are pie in the sky, delusional, and defy basic math. And even if the Supreme Court upholds his tariffs and the Treasury can keep the $250 billion in tariff revenue, would Congress then approve sending all of that money and more to 150 million Americans? Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say the votes are not there, and the more likely scenario would be to give Americans tax rebates. That is Scott Bessent's idea, which Donald Trump keeps shooting down. And if the Supreme Court does not rule in the administration's favor on tariffs, the Trump team is back to that mess Kevin Hassett acknowledges.
If the Supreme Court doesn't find in your favor, who gets the refund? Is it the companies or is it the consumers? How's that work?
Yeah, we really expect the Supreme Court is going to find with us. And I also think that if they didn't find with us, that it's going to be pretty unlikely that they're going to call for widespread refunds, because it would be an administrative problem to get those refunds out to there. But basically, whoever paid the tariff, like actually cut the check to buy the thing, would be the person who would be getting the refund if there were one.
And who would that be? Well, the Trump administration cannot say, because it would depend on every tariff transaction. The bottom line is that the Trump tariff effort, which has already caused the U.S. economy to sputter, is also a potential financial nightmare scenario for the administration if the Supreme Court rules against Donald Trump. And against this backdrop, Donald Trump keeps talking about many Americans getting $2,000 tariff dividend checks. They will appear along with the payments consumers get for taking the drugs under Trump's pharmaceutical company negotiations. Who needs reality when we have Donald Trump and his delusions? Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. By the way, Fox Business News recently admitted that Donald Trump is sinking the U.S. labor market.
4.6 is probably the number moving the needle right now.
This is the highest unemployment since September of 2021. Carol, you've got the October numbers as well.
We got October non-farm payrolls data. We saw a loss of 105,000 jobs non-farm for the month of October.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.